right-hand side for a little bit with Upper and Lower Wacker Drive. Two sets of streets that are very important to us here in Chicago. Upper and Lower Wacker Drive not only help ease congestion, but they're kind of big movie stars. Upper and Lower Wacker Drive here have been used in countless Chicago films. Everything from The Dark Knight to The Fugitive, Backdraft, Wanted, Eagle Eye, Midnight Run, High Fidelity, all the way back to the Blues Brothers. It's right here. It's definitely Lower Wacker Drive. One big movie we did film here last summer, released a few months ago, was Transformers 3. Anybody see Transformers 3? How did that make $1 trillion? Nobody saw it, but I guess we're not the target audience, I understand. But as kind of an obligation, just because they filmed for so many months, I did see the movie. It was okay. If you want to see Chicago destroyed on film, it's a good movie to see. But it was a big movie shot here last summer. There was a lot of stuff on Upper and Lower Wacker Drive, all the bridges here, and it was a pretty big deal for us. We really enjoyed that. But there's nothing that we here at the Seadog like more than stopping our boats for 20 minutes at a time so Shia LaBeouf can do another take. Really makes us feel fantastic. But on a completely non-bitter note, we have the beautiful Marina City Towers coming up on our left-hand side. There's two big cylindrical beige buildings here, designed by Bertrand Goldberg. He was a student at Ludwig Mies Mandarin. As you can see, he didn't really go for the whole less is more, utilitarian, boring architecture. He wanted big, bold statements that were influenced by nature. That's why these two big towers here, designed in a weird circular pattern, they're supposed to look like big stacks of flower petals. That's what they're supposed to look like. The garage is down here, the residential parts up top, big stacks of flower petals. Now, that's a great idea, but really look at these two towers and tell me honestly, they do not look a little bit more like two giant corn cobs. A little bit. Two big corn cobs there. I'm sorry, I guess that joke was a little bit corny. Aw, shucks. Lend me your ears, guys. Or am I just speaking too husky a voice for you to do so? Maybe you should stop these corn puns from popping. Even though I've got a cornucopia, then that's how many I have. Now on our right-hand side, we have a dark green building with a gold top. Built in 1929, this building is known as the Carbide and Carbon Building. And if you're wondering, yes, it is supposed to look like a giant champagne bottle. That was the design of the building, the big champagne bottle. So please, avoid that building at all costs, if and when Godzilla comes to town. You may not know this, ladies and gentlemen, but Godzilla is always looking to party! Godzilla party! Godzilla party! Oh, there's the DJ! That guy's got snacks! Everybody do the Mega Godzilla! Or just Cat and Caitlin up top. Oh, it looks so adorable with their matching hats. Lisa's, oh, it's awesome. But don't worry. I know you're probably a little embarrassed to do the Mechagodzilla right now. I know I'll be doing them up at the Excalibur nightclub later on tonight. It's okay. I totally dig that. But we're coming up on one of our biggest icons I have to mention here. I'd probably be thrown off the boat if I did not mention the Wrigley Building, the big clock tower up top. Of course, the original headquarters of Wrigley's Chewing Gum, the place responsible for Big Red and Juicy Fruit, the place responsible if anyone on board here has ever doubled their pleasure and or fun. Very cool building there. It actually has a very important neighbor, kind of a sister building across the way, the Chicago Tribune Building, or Tribune Tower. On our left-hand side, the building with the big Gothic archways and flying buttresses up top. Great example of Gothic-style architecture, like an ancient cathedral right here in downtown Chicago. And believe me, folks, I know it has the flying buttresses, but there is not a flying buttress joke I have not heard, so please don't try to tell me a new one. I've heard them all. It is a gorgeous building, though. And I do want to point out another building on our left-hand side. Not as iconic, not as legendary, with a pretty neat story behind it. The University of Chicago Bleacher Center. You notice this building doesn't have too many windows on this side, this little short building here. Now, the reason they say this is because a lot of this side of the building is where the classrooms are in this particular structure. They didn't want a lot of windows so the students wouldn't be distracted by the beautiful river view. Pretty neat story, although that's kind of a nasty twist when you find out the other side of the building that has plenty of windows and views of the river. And that's where the teachers and administrative offices are. maybe not so fair there. But way off in the distance, that black building with the two big white antennas, may have noticed it earlier today, the John Hancock Center. Not only a huge icon, but said to have the best view in the entire city of Chicago. Even though the Trump is bigger than it, even though the Aeon Center is bigger than it, even though, of course, the Sears is bigger than it, John Hancock is said to have the best view in the city. Now, the only downside is, the best view of that building is only available to about half of us on the boat today. Not from the observation deck, it's from one floor above, the signature room and lounge. It's a beautiful restaurant, lounge type thing, but the best view there is only available to about half of us on the boat, because it is said to be from the women's restroom. So ladies, congratulations. Ladies, give yourselves a little round of applause. Round of applause for yourselves, ladies. Gentlemen, don't feel too bad. You just have to think about it this way. How long is that line going to be? And speaking of gentlemen, a lot of people ask me how I would know the women's restroom has the best view of the city. I understand why you might want to ask that, folks. Let me just assure you that I do have good reasons for knowing that. I can't tell you exactly how. But let's just say I have not always had this beard. I'll just leave it at that. With that being said, you may have noticed this kind of dry fountain here on the left-hand side. It's not because we reinstituted prohibition. We learned enough from the 1920s not to do that. But this is the beautiful Nicholas J. Mila Centennial Fountain. Operating during the summer, this fountain has beautiful water going up and down it. But one reason we're probably glad this fountain isn't operating right now, since it is getting a little bit cooler, is that there's a big jet of water in the middle of that that shoots off for 10 minutes every hour on the hour during the summer. This big jet of water is supposed to symbolically unite the city of Chicago, to bridge the gap between the north and south sides, really unite the city that's divided here by the river and make us whole. It's a really beautiful symbolic gesture, and to see it, it is a gorgeous sight. This water bursting from one bank of the river, arching majestically over the water, and failing to hit the other side. Which may seem kind of against the point, since it doesn't actually bridge the gap. But there are some explanations. One that someone tried to give me, for why it doesn't actually hit the other side. Not sure if I buy this. They said it was because they wanted to have space in case an emergency vehicle, like an emergency boat, had to get through really quickly so they wouldn't have to get wet. I'm sorry. In most emergency situations, pretty sure most boats can get water on them. Not sure if it's a real emergency situation, if they'd really have to wait for the fountain. But coming up on the right-hand side, if you look underneath here, we have, of course, again, the Lakeshore Drive Fast Fuel Bridge. But I want you to look underneath here on the right-hand side. Because this was home to a man named Richard Dorsey. Found back in 2004. He was a man actually found living deep down in the inner recesses of the bridge. Found a space in the inner mechanism that was open and not really very well used in the bridge. He set up a wooden shack there. He lived there for at least 3 years, according to police reports. He had this wooden shack set up, and you may feel kind of bad, oh, it must have been terrible living in a bridge, but he actually had it pretty nice. He was able to hook up for free to the city's power supply through an extension cord. He was able to run, again, for free off the city's power grid, a television, microwave, and a Sony PlayStation, all inside a bridge. I have to admit, folks, Richard Dorsey, kind of the ultimate troll. Very impressive guy. And it is actually good, even though it is a cool story. It's good that he did leave the bridge, because until 2004, ticket prices were about double. Half that money went straight to bridge troll tolls. It's a huge, massive, big hassle for us. And a lot of people say that Richard Dorsey was a look at the price of riverfront condos. Living in a bridge may in fact be a safe option. So, now coming back towards the locks here at the locks. We'll be getting in there in just a sec, but since we are getting towards the end of the tour, I want to use this little stop we're making in the locks here to go around, answer any questions you guys may have, take some pictures, as I know a lot of you guys have cameras, maybe get some snaps of yourselves so you don't have to do the weird, oh, I'm going to take a picture of myself, and you end up just getting your shoulder. So I can take pictures for you, and of course answer those big questions. Let me get the 2 big questions out of the way first, so I don't have to repeat it for everyone, so you guys can all hear it all at once. First of all, no, I do not know Oprah's home address. I know that makes me disappointing, but here, let me break that disappointment in a way. Make you feel a little bit better about it. You get some disappointment. You get some disappointment. You get some disappointment. You get some disappointment. Everybody's disappointed! Hopefully. Disappointment? Over it, yeah, we don't get to see any place that she lives anymore. That's what I'm saying. She did live at Lake Point Tower before, but she doesn't live there anymore. So we don't get to see Open House. That is correct. And then the other big question I want to answer for you, because I know I get a lot. Again, this may be a little bit disappointing, but no, I'm very sorry. I am not that guy from The Hangover. Okay. But any other questions, I would be happy to answer. Take those pictures for you in just a sec.
Can I post? Oh.
Yes, it's beautiful, sunny Chicago. Yeah. For October, this is actually pretty good. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, let's have fun.
You guys have any questions over here?
Yeah. Can I post you on YouTube?
Yes. The homeless that used to live down there.
Yeah, there was a big problem.
Yeah.
Basically, a couple years back, they kind of did some kind of reconstruction on a lot of Lower Wacker Drive. Basically, made it like there weren't those spaces that a lot of homeless people lived. Because it was becoming like a little mini city, almost like how Streeterville was its own city at one point. But yeah, they basically did some reconstruction on a lot of